All right, what is up, nation? Noah here, back again. First time in a long time. Happy to be back talking some wrestling today. And we're going to be running down the Survivor Series pay-per-view. That's going to be tomorrow night. It's going up Friday morning. Survivor Series War Games. I am very excited. Going to give my predictions in this video. And I'll most likely do some kind of review or post show, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, to Survivor Series, whether I do it on Saturday night after the show or I just wait till Sunday night. There will be some kind of, Survivor Series post video, and also probably give some of my thoughts into, the end of the year for WWE into the Royal Rumble, anything I don't happen to touch on here. But yeah, Survivor Series tomorrow night. I'm very excited. I've really been on the WWE bandwagon since Triple H took over, and that doesn't mean every week of television is must-see TV. Such as Monday Night Raw this past week, didn't really do nothing for me. It was kind of a boring show. Not every week's a home run, but, clearly WWE is in a much, 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 much better place than they were, prior to Triple H taking over. And this is what I've wanted, for years, is Triple H, leading the charge. And I don't even believe we have seen the best of Triple H yet. I don't think we're going to see some of the best of Triple H until after WrestleMania, or, into WrestleMania, after WrestleMania. I think 2023 is going to be a very telling year, and I'm very, very excited for WWE. But we're getting ready to close out 2022. This will of course be the last pay-per-view for Survivor, or for the WWE, excuse me, will be Survivor Series. Got 5 matches on the show, which I'm perfectly fine with. Don't need anything else but that. Triple H has only been doing about 6 matches on the pay-per-view anyway. I believe we had 6 for Clash of the Castle. Extreme Rules, there was 6. There might have been 6 or maybe 7 or something like that on Crown Jewel, but it still wasn't a super, hefty show. And especially Survivor Series, where you have not 1 but 2 5-on-5 War Games matches. You don't need anything else but those 2 matches, and then the 3 undercard matches. You don't need anything else because those 2 matches alone are going to take up probably, between entrances and a promo package and the match itself, they're probably going to be both an hour each, when you really tally up everything from the match to everything else. So right there, that's 2 hours, and then the other 3 matches can take up a third hour, and then I'm sure it'll break into like 3.5 hours just because, how WWE just, random promo packages and stuff during the pay-per-views. But I'm sure that's what, what we're most likely looking at. I don't think anything else needs to be added on this show. Gunther doesn't really have an Intercontinental Championship opponent right now. We got the World Cup going on SmackDown, which is going to determine his next challenger, so no reason to have anything with Gunther on this show. And just there's really no reason to add anything else. I think what you got here is perfectly fine. You have, like I said, 2 War Games matches and 3 undercard matches, and everything's looking good. I'm really excited for it. I will save the 2 War Games matches for last, since that's obviously the bread and butter of why we're here. But I will kick it off with a big one. So we'll get into these predictions with AJ Styles, of course, with Mia Yim, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows in his corner, which I'm happy that all of those, men and women are back in the WWE. And then, of course, AJ Styles will be going one-on-one with Finn Balor of the Judgment Day here. Now, I think when it comes to the OC Judgment Day storyline, I do think this will probably be the end of it. I mean, anything else after this would most likely just be like another 6-man tag to, I guess, give the OC their win back from Crown Jewel. But I really don't even think that's necessary. I think just let that 6-man tag. We got it at Crown Jewel. It was a great match. Judgment Day won. I think you just leave that be, and you just focus on AJ Styles and Finn Balor here. Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley, obviously they'll be in War Games later, so they can kind of settle their, small differences that they've had, since they obviously, Mia Yim really hasn't really been the focal point of this whole thing, but, they'll go at it in War Games. So it's really just AJ Styles, Finn Balor here, and I think the only thing, when we move on from the OC for Judgment Day is there's still, shoes that need to be tied with Edge and Beth Phoenix. There's obviously an untold finish to that story there with, what happened back at Extreme Rules, with Finn Balor winning the I Quit match, forcing Edge to say I quit because of the whole Rhea Ripley, Beth Phoenix thing. And I think we're obviously going to get, a conclusion to that at some point, whether they stretch it out to the Royal Rumble or we get it on, an episode of Monday Night Raw, which I think, is not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, Edge wrestled on Raw, was at the end of August, I believe, or beginning of August sometime when he wrestled Damian Priest. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't really think you need to stretch Edge versus Finn, or Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Finn and Rhea Ripley to all the way to the Royal Rumble. If they did, I'm not complaining if they wanted to keep Edge and Beth Phoenix off television until, the beginning of the year, and then they come back and build to that match at the Rumble. I won't be complaining, but me personally, I'd like to see. I've really been enjoying, everything that they've done between Edge and the Judgment Day, since Edge came back at SummerSlam and they really kicked off this feud. It's been great, and Judgment Day has been, one of the best parts of Monday Night Raw. So I'm not like in a rush to wrap up the storyline, but I would like to just see, a clean slate, more or less, going into 2023 and going into the Royal Rumble, which of course leading to WrestleMania season. So I would prefer, we blow that off on maybe an episode of Raw. Maybe it's like the first Raw of the year or the last Raw of the year, something that they can build up to as like a special night on Raw or something like that. And then, come the Royal Rumble, both guys can be already, in the motions of setting up whatever the WrestleMania programs are going to be. More specifically Edge. I don't know what the Judgment Day are going to do at WrestleMania, but this is obviously, possibly, I should say not obviously, going to be or possibly, if I can get the words out, going to be Edge's possible last WrestleMania. So, you got to have Edge in a big storyline, big match, and it needs all the focus on it. So that's what I think, regarding that is what we're nearing. And that does play into what I think can happen at Survivor Series. I think AJ Styles defeating Finn Balor one-on-one is the way to go here. I think AJ, really, it's been a while, man. I know somebody posted the stat on Twitter the other day. I think it's been like 2-3 years since AJ Styles won a singles match on pay-per-view. And, the Judgment Day won a crown jewel. They've been on the, Finn won at Extreme Rules. They've been on top for a while. Finn can eat a loss and wrap up the OC Judgment Day storyline and not have it affect, how we look at the Judgment Day per se, which I wouldn't anyway. So, I do think AJ Styles should defeat Finn Balor here, wrap up the OC versus Judgment Day portion of the storyline. And maybe they do like another 6-man tag to blow off the whole faction versus faction thing. I don't know, but as for Survivor Series, I would have AJ Styles defeat Finn Balor, and then they can, again, Finn's got unfinished business with Edge that I'm sure they're going to tie up again before either the end of the year or the beginning of next year. As for AJ Styles, I don't know who's going to be leaving United States Champion, which I think I have a good guess as to who will be leaving Survivor Series with the United States Championship, which we will get to later. But I would love to see AJ maybe participate in that, for that championship on Monday Night Raw. Or, I would love to see, as we've all been wanting for a long time, AJ to get a shot at Roman Reigns. And, we've only got that match in 2016. These guys are completely different, especially Roman Reigns by now. And obviously, I know there's reasons why it hasn't happened, but I think AJ versus Roman, before Roman, loses the championships, whenever that may be, I think would be great. So I'd just like to see AJ Styles move into a more prominent spot after this Survivor Series matchup with Finn Balor. Not that he has been in a prominent spot. If anything, the OC storyline has brought him more into something of importance on Raw, because he was really just floating for a couple months before that. But as for Survivor Series, AJ Styles' defeat Finn Balor should be an awesome match. I don't recall, is this going to be the only other one-on-one match they've had since that TLC 2017 match? They might have maybe faced since then, but I don't recall. So I think this may be only like their second, maybe third one-on-one match in WWE, so I'm sure they're going to tear the house down. AJ to beat Finn Balor, and who knows, maybe we get a surprise Edge or Beth Phoenix appearance here that costs Finn Balor the matchup, and then they roll into finishing off that program. Remains to be seen, but I'm going to go with AJ defeating Finn Balor one-on-one. We will, let's move into the SmackDown Women's Championship matchup. Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey. Pretty hyped that Shotzi's honestly getting this opportunity. Big Shotzi fan. I don't want to call myself a big Shotzi fan, but definitely a Shotzi fan. I just like seeing, different people get, opportunities. I was hoping they didn't run back Ronda and Liv again at Survivor Series, and it looked like it was going to be Raquel Rodriguez versus Ronda Rousey, which I was like, all right, that's fine. But I was obviously pleasantly surprised when Shotzi became the number one contender. I thought it was, pretty cool and unexpected. So happy that she's in this spot, and, to get in the spotlight with Ronda Rousey. But obviously I don't see Shotzi winning the SmackDown Women's Championship here. I really don't see Ronda losing the championship to either WrestleMania or, Royal Rumble, based depending on who she faces at WrestleMania, whether it's going to be her and Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship or whatever that may be, remains to be seen. But I don't see Ronda losing that title. That's most likely where we're heading, I'd assume, at WrestleMania, is Ronda defending the gold against Becky Lynch one-on-one, which I assume would be for the SmackDown Women's Championship, obviously. So that's, where I'm going to assume that's heading. I don't see Ronda losing the gold here, but hopefully it's a good match. Obviously it shouldn't last too long. I'm positive it'll be the quickest match on the card. But after that, before we get into the War Games matches, we do have the triple threat match for the United States Championship, which was the last match added on Raw this past Monday night. Seth freaking Rollins versus Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley. I'm looking forward to this match, man. It should be pure chaos. I've been loving what they've honestly been doing with Austin Theory the last 2 weeks. I know the whole him cashing in Money in the Bank situation was just a menagerie, and it definitely wasn't my ideal way of doing it, just like everybody else feels that way. But at the same time, I don't feel too bad about it, and I'm not like, that sucks, because Triple H hit the reset button on Austin Theory, and Austin Theory's looked the best he has all year these last 2 weeks. So you got to just purposely fumble the bag to pick it up and run, way better with it, I guess you could say. So I'm looking forward to this triple threat match. Like I said, I think it's going to be chaos. I'm sure Bobby Lashley's just going to beat the shit out of both of these guys. Austin Theory will probably be a sneaky heel at times, and Seth Rollins is just going to keep being Seth Rollins. And I like how Rollins and Lashley have both really been these tweener characters lately, but still Bobby Lashley, even though he beat Mustafa Ali's ass on Raw, who's a babyface right after, we're still pumping up the crowd as a babyface. And Seth Rollins, who's towed that line recently a lot because of this stuff with Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley, has threw that line in about Cody Rhodes on Monday Night Raw, still kind of keeping him on the heel line. I know a lot of people a couple of weeks ago when Austin Theory was when he laid Seth Rollins out, and then when he tried cashing in, everyone was like, "Oh, Seth Rollins a babyface. Seth Rollins a babyface." But I was like, you don't have to be cut or dry, a babyface or heel. You can toe the line. And Seth Rollins just been toeing the line recently. I don't see Rollins going babyface, especially with a possible and what I think will most likely be a matchup with Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. Only if The Rock is wrestling at WrestleMania. If The Rock isn't wrestling at WrestleMania, then it might be Cody and Roman, or they might do Roman and Bray. That's also an option. But I think Seth is just staying a heel, and I think probably I'm going to maybe say most realistic option right now, because I just really have this feeling, just like I'm sure a lot of other people do out there, this is going to be the year we get The Rock versus Roman, that we'll have Cody taking the U.S. title off of Seth Rollins to finally conclude their rivalry at WrestleMania. Not that I want to see it at another WrestleMania. Obviously, it'll be a great match, but obviously we see it 3 times, but they kept that window open with Seth Rollins laying Cody out with the sledgehammer the night after Hell in the Cell. So now, there's room for another matchup there, and I guess it kind of gives both guys something important to do at WrestleMania if Roman's tied up, and there's plans like that. So Seth Rollins, I think, will be walking out of this Survivor Series with the United States Championship. I don't see Bobby Lashley winning it. I think we might get a Brock Lesnar appearance, and he costs Lashley the title. I don't know, depending on when they want to do Lashley versus Lesnar again. I think most likely, I'd say we get it at the Royal Rumble. I don't see them stretching it all the way to WrestleMania. I don't want to see them stretch it all the way to WrestleMania, even though I've been enjoying the story this time around, not including the beginning of the year, but this time around, these last couple of months, I've been enjoying Lashley and Lesnar's stuff together. I don't really feel the need to have it at WrestleMania this coming year, especially because that'd be such a long stretch between, this past month and Crown Jewel to WrestleMania, when both guys can just be put into something different. You could have Lesnar versus Gunther, was a rumor going around today, actually, possibly at WrestleMania. We could have Lesnar versus Edge, for not the first time ever, but it's only happened 1, 2, 3 times, in 02, 03, possibly Edge's last WrestleMania, so we could get Lesnar and Edge. There's other options for Brock at Mania, and then I don't really know off the top of my head what you put Lashley in, but I'm sure you could find something of importance for Lashley. And Austin Theory, same thing. So I think Seth Rollins will be leaving Survivor Series with the United States Championship. But I mentioned all that stuff about WrestleMania too, because obviously the United States Championship is the main title on Raw right now, and I don't see Roman dropping those titles anytime before WrestleMania. So, that's still going to be a prominent thing, going into WrestleMania, is the importance of the United States Championship. So I don't see it going back to Austin Theory or Lashley, guys who recently had the title, anytime soon, when Rollins didn't just win the title. Obviously, it's been a month and change now. But I think after all the work Rollins has done over the last few years and not holding a title during any of it, I think Rollins has absolutely earned to be at the top of Raw, whether that be as the WWE champion or whether that be what he is, the United States champion. So I don't see him losing that title anytime soon. And I think best case scenario is for Seth Rollins to retain the United States championship at Survivor Series. All right, so let's get into the 2 War Games matches. We'll kick it off with the Women's War Games match, which will be Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair and company, which will consist of Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and a woman that we will find out tonight on SmackDown, which maybe Sasha Banks, maybe Becky Lynch, maybe Candice LeRae. I don't know. Maybe Beth Phoenix. I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I don't really think it, and I'm saying it doesn't, obviously it matters who the fifth person is, but when it plays into the results, I don't really see it being a factor, because I don't know, I feel like Bianca winning here is, like, Bianca's team winning here doesn't really do too much for everybody else. Like, it really doesn't do too much for anybody, you know what I mean? It's just another win for Bianca. She beats Bayley again, Damage Control loses again. I don't know, and I know depending on who the fifth person is, if it's Becky Lynch or Sasha, well then, yeah, they're probably not going to come back and lose right away. And I'm not saying Bayley and Dakota Kai and Io Sky can't take a loss and then just move on to something else, but I don't know, it just feels weird for them to just take another loss here. And I know they had to, I'm going to say stretch this thing, even though it's not a stretch, because we were all predicting that this would be somewhat similar of what if we got a War Games matchup, what the women's one would be back at SummerSlam when all this, really started. But I don't know. My guts tell me more picking, I guess, Damage Control's team here with Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley. And also there's the Alexa Bliss factor. She just feels so out of place and just feels like she's not even there on Monday Night Raw. Like, even on that promo segment, which was just not very good, that main evented Raw before the Rhea Ripley Asuka match this past Monday, she was just there and she just feels like out of place and just feels like it just feels like a person. She doesn't feel like she's playing the Alexa Bliss character of old or some new character. She just feels like Alexa Bliss woman standing in the ring, and just something just feels off. And I feel like that's on purpose. Maybe I feel like maybe we'll be getting a heel turn soon, which I think would be great for Alexa. She needs to get rid of this theme song too. Her theme song sucks. It sounds so stupid. I don't know. She needs to go back to her old one or something. But I don't know. So that could be a possibility here. Maybe Alexa turns on her team, costs them the win, not necessarily joins Damage Control or anything like that, but just costs them the win, and maybe that sets up, Asuka and Bianca at the Royal Rumble or something like that. And maybe if Damage Control's team wins here, then we'll get one more Bayley versus Bianca match on Raw or something. I don't know. My guts just more tell me the heel team, Bayley's team, winning here. And as for who the fifth person's going to be, again, it could be anybody. It could be Beth Phoenix to counteract Rhea Ripley. It could be Candice LeRae, who Damage Control took out. Could be a return of Becky Lynch, who Damage Control also took out. Could be Sasha Banks. Survivor Series is in Boston. What better way to have a homecoming back to WWE than being a part of the first women's War Games match on the main roster in your hometown, first one at Survivor Series. That would be pretty big for Sasha to come back to. But who knows? But honestly, and I know maybe some people might be saying, well, depending on who the returning person is, whoever the fifth spot is, why would they lose in their first match back? And I definitely get that point, but my gut's just telling me that Bayley's team's going to win here. And whatever way that, comes about, whether it's just clean as a whistle or Alexa turns on her team or something like that, or maybe the fifth mystery person, is originally aligned with Bianca and company. Maybe it's Sasha. Maybe Sasha turns and joins Damage Control or something like that. Her and Bayley have so much history. You never know. So, I don't know. My gut's telling me Bayley's team's going to win here, and that's what I'm picking. But I also could just see a clean, babyface win just to conclude the Bianca and Bayley story once and for all, and then everybody just moves on to something else. That is also a possibility, and I could see that happening too. So maybe that is what's going to happen, and I'm just thinking too much into it, but I'm going to go Bayley's team here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Bayley's team to get the win here in War Games. Moving on to the big one, to the main event, the men's War Games matchup, which will be the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa, and Mr. Usi himself, Sami Zayn, versus the Brawling Brutes and two honorary Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, Butch, Ridge Holland, Kevin Owens, and Drew McIntyre. This match is exactly what we predicted it would be in our Who's Going to Be in War Games video, which was only a couple videos ago here on the channel back in September, which is funny that we were able to get a good guess. And I'm freaking pumped on it, man. This is exactly what I was hoping for out of War Games, and it's going to be chaos. All 10 of these guys in here, this is going to be legendary, man. These guys are going to make some freaking history out there. Women's one, I'm sure, is going to be great too. I'm not knocking it, but we got the Bloodline we got McIntyre, we got shit like Kevin Owens. Like, come on, this is gonna be crazy. Sheamus in there, who just, no pun intended, but it is true, banger after banger every time Sheamus is in the ring. This one's gonna be epic, man. And when it comes to the result, I can honestly see this one going either way. I could see the Bloodline, flat out winning here and just, truly dominating. But I see the baby faces winning. I could see it going either way, but I'm going to predict the Brawling Brutes. I'm just going to label all 5 of them the Brawling Brutes. I'm going to pick the Brawling Brutes to win this win the War Games matchup, because I think it comes with more story for after Survivor Series. Like, if the Bloodline wins here, I don't know where we go next for Roman versus, or for the Bloodline versus the Brawling Brutes, or for McIntyre and Owens. Like, it just feels too easy and too just like, okay, what's next if the Bloodline wins? Because then they beat all 5 of these guys. Like, I think you need to realize that a loss here for the Bloodline isn't some loss for Roman Reigns or anything like that. Like, he'll be okay. He's not losing the championships. He doesn't have to get pinned. He can freaking go out swinging, and then Sami Zayn, who I think can most likely eat the pin, can eat the pin. Like, he'll be alright. He can lose this matchup and still be looked at as the freaking God's greatest gift to the WWE. With that being said, I think there's just more that comes out of the Brawling Brutes winning here. First off, Roman Reigns, like I said, I think we're heading towards him and The Rock at WrestleMania. It just feels like the perfect year. Just 2 years into Roman Reigns' run, near as champion, as the head of the table, nearing 1,000 days around WrestleMania. I think post-WrestleMania, I'm not exactly sure, as the champion. It just feels like the time. WrestleMania in Los Angeles, like, now is the year to do it. I don't see Roman versus Rock happening in Philadelphia in 2024. It just feels a little off when you were in Los Angeles the year before. And as much as I would love that, because, Philly, my backyard, but I just don't see it happening. So I see Rock and Roman finally happening at Mania this year. Maybe it doesn't. If Rock is like, I'm not doing it, then we got Roman versus Cody possibly, or we got Roman versus Bray. I'm sure it'd be one of the two, and then, pick your poison from there. But that's where I'm going to predict we're heading for WrestleMania. So you need something to get you there. We got the Royal Rumble, because this, Survivor Series last pay-per-view of the year. Who knows when the next time we'll see Roman is after Survivor Series. I'm sure it'll pop up on a SmackDown before the end of the year. But actually wrestling, remains to be seen. He could be off television till, first SmackDown of 2023, and then leading into the Royal Rumble we'll get him. But who knows? But as for now till WrestleMania, we got the Royal Rumble. And then we have Elimination Chamber in, I was about to say in Saudi, but I believe that's in Montreal this year. And I don't know if there's going to be another Saudi show in there. I'd assume not, and I really hope not, because that'd just be cutting it way too close. And hopefully they were just, we'll do your 2 Saudi shows like in the second half of the year. Hopefully you don't fit it in there, because that'd just be too much unnecessary pay-per-views in between on the road to WrestleMania. But that's 2 pay-per-views there, so you could really set up a couple of matches for Roman Reigns in the lead up to The Rock. One of them, and I think the best one, I'm saying the best one, but the one we haven't seen yet, Roman versus Sheamus. So this would immediately set that up, man. You could do it at the Royal Rumble, which I think would be great. Or you can do, it doesn't really matter the order of the matches, but you're setting up Roman versus Sheamus, which I think is the most important one here, because it's somebody Roman hasn't fought yet. Then you can also set up him and Kevin Owens one more time, and possibly him and Drew McIntyre one more time. You have 3 options, Sheamus being the fresh matchup for Roman Reigns on the road to WrestleMania, which I think is very important. There's not really a shortage of opponents, I don't think. There's still matches that I would love to see. Roman versus Bobby Lashley, I would love to see. I don't know if we would get that. I don't know if there's enough time for that. I don't know. But point is, you do have options. But this War Games matchup is the perfect time to set up some of those main options, especially, like I said, if Roman only has, or if we're trying to kill time for Roman up until WrestleMania, up until potentially facing The Rock, he can beat Sheamus, he can beat Kevin Owens again if you want him to, he can beat Drew McIntyre again if you want him to. So you're setting up that right there. You could also set up Brawling Brutes getting one more shot at the Usos for the Tag Team Championships, which doesn't need to be saved for a pay-per-view or anything like that, because they already did that at Crown Jewel, and they did it on SmackDown. But if you wanted to run it one more time and have the Brutes actually have a reason to challenge Jay and Jimmy for the Tag Team Championships one more time on an upcoming SmackDown or something like that, them winning here obviously sets that up. On top of that, and I think the biggest, one of the biggest storylines coming out of this matchup is going to be Sami Zayn, and I do think we're going to see a major shift in the dissension between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline here. And whether that's something as simple as just some basic disagreement antics between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso during the matchup that ultimately leads to a finish, that leads to one of them getting pinned, or leads to just straight up Sami Zayn getting pinned and loses the matchup for the Bloodline. Something like that. I just think we're going to start seeing the dissension. And I think at some point, you know, we need to have a big, you know, evolution, turn it on Randy Orton moment, and just Bloodline beating the hell out of Sami Zayn. Preferably, I would do it like right before the Royal Rumble, like really, you know, kick off Survivor Series as that real, like I said, big shift in the dissension between Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, and keep building upon it and just getting heavier and heavier. There's issues until like in the lead up to the Royal Rumble sometime in January, where they officially just kick him out, officially done with him, and just beat the hell out of him to the point where he's got to disappear, you know, for a few weeks, for a month, and then he makes a comeback in Montreal at the Elimination Chamber to target Roman Reigns, to target the Usos, most likely the Usos, obviously, and whether that's, you know, just after they had a match or if there's something going on with Kevin Owens at the time, whatever that may be, you know, and then we can be off to the races with what is, I think, definitely going to happen at WrestleMania as well. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos for the Tag Team Championships, where KO and Sami can dethrone the Usos at WrestleMania. So I do think we'll see a big shift here, and that's just another reason why I think even though I can see the Bloodline winning, like I said earlier, I think it just makes more sense for the Brawling Brutes to win here. You're just setting up way more options for the next couple of months in terms of story and in terms of matches for Roman Reigns. So I think that's the way to go. But overall, man, the match is going to be sick. This whole show is going to be great, man. I can't wait for War Games on Saturday night. Like I said, I will be making some kind of video, whether it's a video or a live stream after Survivor Series, or whether we wait till Sunday, or, you know, whatever it may be. Sometime after Survivor Series, there will be a video of me talking about it. And like I said, it might be a little half Survivor Series and half me just talking about, you know, the results and how I think that will play into the rest of the year and into the new year for WWE. It remains to be seen. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this commentary video. Let me know down below what your predictions for Survivor Series are, and let me know what you guys want to see out of, you know, WWE in general for the next couple of weeks into 2023. And as we start to slowly but surely approach the Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania, which the Royal Rumble, my favorite event of the year, Royal Rumble, my favorite match type, and this is going to be Triple H's first Royal Rumble coming up in January, so I can't freaking wait for that. But we got Survivor Series, we got War Games first, and War Games is going to be freaking epic. So I hope you guys all enjoy the show. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for checking out this video, and that's it from me. See you guys next time.